Hello, I'm STL. After playing this game for a week and a half, I have to say Sonic Adventure 2 kinda sucks, but my near completion of this game was one of the most satisfying experiences I've ever had with a video game. As you can see here, I have gotten all A ranks on every stage in the game, and I mean every stage, and I have completed every mini game except the Chow Races and Chow Karate. I would do those mini games for the final 9 emblems, but after playing this game every day for multiple hours from June 17th to June 26th, for the exception of June 23rd, which ironically was the 29th anniversary of the Sonic franchise and the 19th anniversary of this game. Funny how that happened. But I'm done for now, and I'm pretty sure I can critique this game's main gameplay without the Chow content. Don't worry, Peaches and Perry, I'll be back. Anyway, I got some milk to get from the store, so goodbye! Initially, this video is supposed to be a quick 15-minute review of the 3 gameplay styles of SA2 with some discussion on the best and worst stages. As you can see by the length of this video, that mini video idea evolved into a feature-length review of every stage of SA2 and other aspects of the game, such as the music and bosses. Parts of the game other than the Chow content that I don't truly cover in this review is the story, graphics, and the multiplayer. SA2's story has been praised and criticized by almost every other person on YouTube. I wanted my review to exclusively focus on the complete gameplay experience and not the story everybody already knows about. By the way, I think the story's pretty good overall. It has plot holes and dumb parts, but also has genuine good character writing and cool parts. At the end of the day, you're playing as anthropomorphic animals who are trying to save the Earth from destruction. It's fun. For the graphics, they look fine. The graphics have obviously become dated over time, but they work well enough. There are places where the graphics have aged very badly, like how you can very easily see how the skybox in this stage loops, and how the English voice acting does not sync with the characters' mouths at all. I know that this was 2001 and Sonic Team was still learning how to make good cutscenes, but damn, that's just bad and distracting.
Well, if you gotta know, I caught a ride with Tails. Are you sure you don't need my help?
For the most part though, the graphics are okay. I can tell that this model is supposed to be Sonic the Hedgehog, and that this stage is taking place in the city. So yeah, graphics are fine. And I also don't talk about the multiplayer because, you know, 2020 was 2020, if you catch my drift. Anyway, I hope you enjoy my very long first video of my mostly completionist review of Sonic Adventure 2. Okay, enough background, let's get into the review proper. As you may know, Sonic Adventure 2 is split up into 2 stories, Hero and Dark. After playing through these stories, you unlock the last story, where you get the true ending of the game. I played through the main 3 stories and then began to complete the game's extra missions. My order of completion was to start with the Hero side level, then play a Dark side level, and repeat until every level was completed. Halfway through I did the minigame kart races, and the last activity I did was the boss rushes, before I decided to start making this video back in June 2020. Alright, let's get into that high-speed gameplay starring Sonic and Shadow. The Sonic and Shadow stages are filled with high-speed action that has the hedgehogs rush through enemies, grind on rails, and interact with other objects as you make your way to the goal. There's a total of 10 action stages, with Sonic having 6 and Shadow having 4. There's an extra action stage to play once you collect all 180 emblems, and even though I didn't collect every emblem, I will still review this extra stage because why not? This gameplay style is undoubtedly the most fun to play and fully experience the content of. The gameplay is exciting and fluid, and it's almost always a pleasure to play. However, I did say almost always for a reason. SA2's action stages also have the distinction of being the most troublesome of the 3 gameplay styles. On the odd occasions, Sonic or Shadow's homing attack will either home on to an enemy that's behind them, which leads to the momentum being halted, or just leads to death in some cases, or won't even home on to an enemy at all. The mapping of the Lightspeed Dash and the bounce attached to the same button is a horrible design decision that will lead to you dying in certain areas as Sonic. And unsurprisingly, the camera isn't that good. It isn't awful, and most video game cameras from this era were okay at best to be in garbage, so I'm not too hung up on it. However, the camera only really gets bad when you adjust it. The auto camera throughout the game is generally consistent, but if you try to move it around, you're just asking for a bad time. All of these generally uncommon but frustrating issues makes getting a full list of A ranks in these stages sometimes frustrating endeavors. But when everything comes together, the flow of the Gadget stages are like no other. To go more in detail about that, let's look into the first stage of the game. Well, if you choose the hero side anyway. City Escape is not only a fantastic stage, it also excels at being a great tutorial for the Gadget stages. Starting off with this iconic set piece of skating down the city streets, the level introduces ramps that establishes that good timing when jumping off of them is essential to get more speed, more points, and even items. This quick skating section then swiftly transitions into the main run and jump gameplay. Robotic enemies begin to appear that take a couple seconds to fire, which gives the player plenty of time to smash them and move on. The level quickly teaches the new mechanic, the somersault, a maneuver used majorly throughout the game. Immediately after, City Escape introduces the major new mechanic of SA2, grinding. Due to its introduction in these safe spaces, you learn how to stay balanced and speed up on rails, which is essential information since Sonic's final level, Final Rush, is primarily on rails. These new gameplay mechanics are used throughout the stages in more challenging ways, alongside other major recurring obstacles like swinging on handlebars and homing attack chained over pits, until you pass the final checkpoint, where you go through one of Sonic's most iconic set pieces, the gun truck chase. You go through this intense section that may look like a simple interactive cutscene, but there are 2 ramps that are off camera that can be launched off to gain more points and make the set piece even more exciting. I don't know how anyone's supposed to launch off of these when you can't see them coming, but I appreciate that they are there regardless. And that's just one of SA2's Gadget stages. They are overall very fun and rewarding to play, but they definitely have aged. Now then, how about some running and gunning? Alright, the next gameplay style I'll talk about are shooting stages with Tails and Dr. Eggman. When I first played this game, these 9 levels, 4 from Tails and 5 from Eggman, were my least favorite, and I never came back to replay them until this review. Surprisingly, I found an appreciation for these levels that I didn't have when I was younger, and I ended up liking them overall. These levels have either Tails or Eggman traveling through stages with gauntlets of gun robots and other machines as you travel to reach the goal. Thankfully, you don't have to be accurate with this little pea shooter here, since you have the ability to lock onto multiple enemies and shoot homing shots. This lock-on mechanic transforms these slow and methodical tank levels into exciting and sometimes frustrating roller coasters that requires good timing and observation of your surroundings to create optimal lock-on combos for the best score bonuses. The Gadget stages and treasure hunting stages have these score bonuses as well, but they are most prominent in these stages since you only get them if you perform the required combos. Initially, playing through the shooting levels is pretty slow, but as soon as you get the hover upgrade for Tails and Eggman, everything changes. Kind of. Some previously slow sections can be relatively sped through with careful usage of the hover. These stages in a lot of ways go against the general direction of the Gadget stages. The mechs are much slower, the level design is pretty simple with no extravagant level tropes like loopy-loops, alongside other differences. However, I still enjoy these stages due
to when broken down to the simplest terms, the Gadget stages and shooting stages aren't that different. I believe the Gadget stages can be broken down into this baseline. Gadget stages: run and platform to reach the goal. And I believe the shooting stages can be broken down like this. Shooting stages: shoot and platform to reach the goal. I know these gameplay styles play very differently, and that these stages don't mesh with everyone, but at the end of the day, I still like these stages because the main objective is to reach the end of a linear platforming stage, which Sonic has been doing in every mainline game since June 23rd, 1991. Plus, landing lock-on combos is very satisfying. Now for the last gameplay style, things go off the rails. Now the final gameplay style with Knuckles and Rouge. This is the worst gameplay style in the game, without a doubt. Want to know why? Where do I begin? First of all, there are 5 stages for Knuckles and 4 for Rouge, adding up to 9 in total. For the sake of comparison, I want to briefly mention Sonic Adventure. In this game, the Knuckles levels were all setters from Sonic's levels that were repurposed for treasure hunting. The only one that stood out and really resembles any of the treasure hunting levels in SA2 is Red Mountain. A quick look at this stage made me think of Knuckles' iconic stage, Pumpkin Hill. The goal of these treasure hunting levels is to find 3 pieces of the Masked Emerald, or a set of 3 other items in open and expansive stages. Looking at both games side by side, aside from the aesthetics, what's the main difference between this gameplay? If you said that damn radar, then you are correct. For some reason, when Sonic Team was developing fully original treasure hunting levels, which some levels are extremely large, such as the space levels for Knuckles and Rouge, they decided that the perfectly fine radar from Sonic Adventure should be changed to only sense 1 item at once. What a absolutely stupid fucking thing to do. Thankfully, you can collect the items you're searching for in any order you want. Like, imagine you find the last emerald in order, like, right next to your spawn, but it was transparent and you couldn't grab it. That would be complete garbage. Then again, what we ended up with is not good in the first place. The levels end when you collect all 3 items, and that's pretty much it. The items can be floating in the air, in the ground, in an enemy, etc. Even if Adventure 2 had the adventure radar, these stages would still be my overall least favorite. I'm playing a Sonic game to go fast, or at least quickly most of the time, through fun and varied linear platforming stages. I realized that Knuckles and Rouge and Agile-like stages would be uninteresting, unless they gimped the climb ability, because you could just climb up somewhere high and just glide past the entire stage, so. But I would rather have that than scavenging through these stages. However, if this game didn't arbitrarily make me backtrack to sections of the stage that I already visited because the game didn't want me to know that the last item in the stage was near my spawn points, then I would give these stages just a little more credit. Even if these stages had a good radar, I still believe that there are no good treasure hunting stages, only horrible ones. Well, with every gameplay style finally being explained, I can finally talk about the missions of Sonic Adventure 2's stages. For the exception of the 2 car stages, every stage has the same 5 mission structure. The first mission is to clear the stage by reaching the goal, or collect the 3 items in the treasure hunting stages. The second mission is to collect 100 rings as fast as possible. The third mission is to find the lost child somewhere in the stage. The fourth mission is to clear the stage under a time limit. and the 5th and final mission is to clear the stage's hard mode. I won't go in detail about how every mission is in every stage, but these missions make replaying the same stage at least 5 times interesting and fun, with some missions changing the entire flow of the stage. If there was one critique I have for the mission structure, it's the 4th mission. Other than the time limit and no checkpoints, it's pretty much the exact same as mission 1. I wish that mission 4 was actually based on time instead of score. I like how the ranking isn't only based on speed in this game, but it would have been nice if mission 4 was basically a time trial of the stage and require you to beat the stage under certain times for better ranks. This change, I believe, would have made the 5 missions have a good balance of variety, but they're still fun overall. Anyway, depending on the stage, completing all these bitches can be relatively easy or shockingly hard. City Escape was unsurprisingly not that challenging to complete, with Sonic's next stage, Metal Harbor, in my view, is one of the hardest stages in the entire game to complete. It was a steep difficulty curve. For the game's 2 cart levels, the missions are slightly different. The 1st, 2nd, and 5th are the same as the regular levels, while the 3rd and 4th are cart exclusive. The 3rd mission for carts is to avoid hitting any cars on the way to the goal. This one for both cart stages wasn't too bad, but it required waiting behind cars in single tunnels, which was annoying. That 4th mission, however, don't hit any walls. Let's just say, I'm not a big fan. Alright, let's get into level specifics for each stage in the game. I think a popular rating method would be the most appropriate here. Everyone, I present to you the definitive, objectively correct Sonic Adventure 2 stage tier list. As you can see here, the game's 32 levels, including the bonus level, Green Hill, has been placed into 6 tiers. S, A, B, C, D, and E. A through E have the same coloring as their ranks in Sonic Adventure 2. Just wanted to mention that. The tiers also have little descriptions that I will read out when entering each tier. Let's begin with the worst levels in the game. E tier. Absolute garbage that I never want to play again. Sadly, since I didn't plan to do a review until after I finished the game, I am required to play these levels again. Starting off with the worst level in the game, Mad Space. Everyone knows about Mad Space. Even if you haven't played this game, you know about this infamous level. And even the biggest fans of Sonic Adventure 2 most likely don't have much positive to say either. So why does this stage suck? I'm going to explain in explicit detail, but I can sum it up like this. It's too big! You start off Mad Space on this space station here. This space station is one of 6 major sections of the level. Right under the space station is this unnecessarily large area of floating platforms that is so annoying to traverse because the platforms are so spread out. Ugh. And then there are the 3 planetoids. Oh god. These planet physics are so janky, like holy shit. It's almost unbearable at times. Especially this cylinder planet here. I hate this stupid green turd of landmass so much. And then there's the art sections with these weird storage containers and platforms and shit. Oh my god. There's so much ground to cover in this one stage. And the worst part is that the emerald pieces can be almost anywhere. And because of the one item radar, you're most likely going to have to explore the entire stage to end it. It's awful. Actually, I lied. There's something even worse. The next stage in E tier sucks for its own reason, but I'll give it this. The score requirements for A rank is forgiving. You can beat that stage in 5 minutes and still get an A rank. But not here. Nope. You have to do it in 3 minutes or maybe 4 minutes to even destroy the Golden Beetle or to get in B for Bonehead. Oh, I should probably explain Golden Beetles now, shouldn't I? Golden Beetles are hidden enemies that are in every stage that appears for like 2 seconds before disappearing forever until you replay the stage. These enemies are very valuable since they give a huge 1000 point bonus that can make or break runs for A ranks.
They make bad stages like this one slightly easier to complete. I hate this stage. It represents the worst parts of SA2, and this makes me want to play almost any other video game. Fuck this stupid stage. In conclusion, Mad Space sucks. But you know what also sucks? Death Chamber, of course. Death Chamber is a confusing labyrinth that has one of its major sections being separated from the other two, which are connected to each other. The separation reinforces the consequences of making only one item being able to be sent on the radar at a time, because some locations require you to guess if they're most in the red/green section or the blue section, since sometimes you just can't sense the emerald before you go into the section. Isn't that swell? In this run I recorded, I was genuinely lucky that this didn't happen to me, but it did happen multiple times before this, and it was always fucking infuriating, but it did. Also, finished the level in 5.5 minutes and still got a damn A. This dumbass stage. Before we move on, let's talk about the Lost Child location in hard mode. Like most Lost Child missions, you need your character's mystic melody to access a part of the level that you normally can't access. In Death Chamber, you go through a water timer challenge that isn't that bad as long as you're continuously moving towards the gate. You then go through this hallway of ghosts and robots to reach this large corridor. By swimming up, you find this room where you can climb up to hit this hourglass to open the final time gate for the child. Now I want to clarify this. The swimming controls are not bad at all and feel okay to work with, but as I will talk in Canon's core, putting these controls under a time limit is frustrating. Hard mode for treasure hunting stages are debatably easier than the other missions because emerald locations are always in the same positions. Then again, learning where and how to get the emerald pieces for the first time can be very time consuming. Anyway, I want to show off that the large corridor you pass to get the Lost Child contains the last key in hard mode. You go back to this area where a child was to discover that a weight trap now traps you in this room until you disactivate it with the switch here. Then you hit this hourglass and swiftly dive back into the water to grab this key before it closes again. The combo of Mad Space and Death Chamber perfectly displays my main complaint of the treasure hunting levels being hinged on you either memorizing every assortment of the item locations or just getting lucky with your route. Okay, 1 tier done, 4 more to go. We're now on D tier, stages that are a slog to play through. The first 2 levels of this tier are the 2 cart levels, Route 101 and Route 280. These are uninteresting reach to go under a time limit levels that have fine control, but are just uninspired set pieces of filler in both the hero and dark campaigns, especially the dark side since the level leads to no significant changes in the story. The only thing I have to say about these levels is how bullshit the 4th missions were. Let's just say the controls aren't good enough to not crash into walls often, while trying to go as fast as possible to reach the goal in the allotted time limit. Since I'm on the topic of kart racing, let's talk about the 3 minigame kart races. At first they were a pain to complete, but as soon as I switched to a certain doctor, it became significantly easier. For a disclaimer, I did the minigame races before unlocking alternate carts for each character, which I didn't even know existed until this playthrough, so I don't know if they made the minigames easier, but I used base Eggman and turned out fine. Speaking of Dr. Eggman, the next level is Weapons Bed, which is the worst shooting level in the game. Unlike the rest of Eggman's levels, which I think are good at worst to some of them being the best levels in the game, this level is just a boring cruise on warships. The stage's main gimmick is that you destroy the deactivated gun robots and unmanned airships on these warships, so that Gun would be occupied to deal with Eggman while Rude and Shadow do their part of the plan in the background. Sadly, the level is just long stretches of unchallenging target practice. The hard mode version of the stage cuts down on the stationary enemies, so if I ever come back to replay this level, it's in hard mode. Thankfully, Knuckles' equivalent to Rude's Mad Space, Meteor, isn't even close to the pain that horrible stage caused me. It still ain't good though. The main reason Meteor is better than Mad Space is that it's simply smaller than a humongous Mad Space. Mad Space has you searching across 3 planetoids, a station where you spawn, the open air area below the spawn, and the areas near the arc. It's just too much level to cover in a reasonable time, while being unable to sense
That emerald piece is close to you, but it's not the emerald piece you're supposed to get. Meteor still has a vertical focus that requires you to use the rockets to climb the level, but it has a collection of small platforms that are easy to check and move on to continue your search. The only really annoying part is when an emerald piece is in the ground area. I mean, look at this area. It can be anywhere. The stage is still big and annoying to search through, so I don't replay this level ever. But we can't escape Knuckles just yet. We have Aquatic mine to cover, and I have to say, I don't like this level, but it has one of my favorite songs in the entire game, Dive into Mellow. It is one of the few songs in this world I can listen to for hours and not get tired of it. Alright, for the stage itself, it's nothing compared to other water levels, but it's just kinda tedious. The level has you adjust the water level to gain access to the different areas that might contain emerald pieces. Fortunately, you can sense if an emerald is in the area before you make the commitment to change the water level. Take notes, Death Chamber. Dumbass stage. Before moving on, I want to give tips on hard mode. I recommend getting this emerald piece first, since it's right at the beginning of the level and doesn't require you to backtrack. After that, follow the emerald order and you should get the A rank just fine. I wish I was done with D tier, but one level remains, and it's Final Chase. Final Chase is the worst action stage in the game for one reason: the gravity tubes. These tubes attract Shadow into a gravitational field, where Shadow can climb up or down the tube to progress throughout the stage. Everything that doesn't involve the tubes is the same fun action stage gameplay I love, but these tubes are the absolute definition of jank. I don't have anything else to say. Wait, I should probably mention how this game handled its stage music. Unlike its predecessor, which made its stage music exclusively based on the environment, the stage music in SA2 is based around the character and the environment. For Sonic, his music is upbeat rock songs with a focus on guitar. For Rouge, her music is smooth, free-form jazz with occasional vocals. For Shadow, his music goes for EDM or electronic dance music style. Two mixed results. I'll go in more detail later, but Final Chase's song, The Supernatural, is a big sleeper. Also, Shadow's theme song, Throw It All Away, is...
You see a light wherever you go. You have to face it again and again. And again and again.
Weird. Oh shit. I was talking about Final Chase, wasn't I? Final Chase sucks. The end. Okay, 2 tiers down, 4 more to go, since I can actually count now. C tier, okay stages that I have to force myself to play. Starting with Skyrail, another shadow stage. This stage and the next stage I'm going to talk about are just boring. Skyrail is a stage that is primarily spent grinding on rails and having brief ground sections. The worst part of Skyrail are these fan springs that drag out the length of this short and unimportant stage. Oh yeah, this level also loves to blindside you with enemies off screen. I love Mega Man Adventure 2.
The most interesting part of this level is that it takes place in the same area where Pumpkin Hill takes place. That's pretty cool, I guess. Oh yeah, the song for Skyrail, Mr. Unsmiley. Weird name. Sounds more like a Sonic song than a Shadow one. Alright, next on the boring duology is Mission Street. Before I explain why this level is just not that interesting, I had to emphasize that the stage song is fantastic. Okay, since we just enjoyed the music, let's simmer our excitement with the actual stage itself. The stage starts off fine with you going through the streets, shooting up the usual gun robots, you know, the usual stuff. But as soon as you reach these floating cylinders here, the pace of the stage begins to fluctuate from the good old shooting to boring, stop and wait platforming that isn't challenging in the slightest. The worst section is here with the introduction of slopes that make the already kinda slow mechs go even slower and control worse as they move upwards. Oh yeah, the music track I just gushed about can barely be heard during the stage because the sound mixing in this game is awful! Can you even hear me anymore? Hello? Ugh, God. Ugh. Mission Street. Fantastic music. The whole stage. We're now in the treasure hunting gauntlet, because the rest of the treasure hunting levels are right next to each other in rank. First up is Ride Lagoon, the first of Rouge's 4 levels. This level and Wild Canyon have very similar level design, with the only big difference being that Dry Lagoon, ironically, has water, while Wild Canyon has wind. The level isn't that big, but since it's split into 2 separate sections, finding the emerald pieces can be inconvenient. Alright, next up is Headquarters, the second Rouge level. What a coincidence. Headquarters is significantly better than Death Chamber for the simple reason of each main section being in one area instead of being separated into 2. There are still sections of the level separated from the main area, but there are way less than Death Chamber. Okay, I can't keep ignoring this fantastic song playing in the background. Listen to this. Lava Gate 3 is definitely one of the best songs in the game. During this playthrough of the level, I had the biggest moment of incompetence that I have to show off. right at this game, I swear. Before moving on to the next treasure hunting stage, I want to highlight this stage's hard mode. The emerald pieces in Egg Core's hard mode are pretty unique due to them being locked behind containers that can only be broken by the bombs of Kikis, these monkey robots. However, there is an inherent flaw with this mission, and it's unsurprisingly the AI of the Kikis being bad and inconsistent. What a surprise. To be more specific, this Kiki right here, unlike the two other Kikis that throw the bombs that you pick up and bring to the destroyable containers, this Kiki throws huge bombs that you can't pick up. Because of this, you are at the will of the AI to properly throw one of the bombs close to the container so it can be destroyed. If this wasn't bad enough, the Kiki can also not throw the bomb and... what? It died? Why can't it die? What? Oh, God. There are other Kikis in the stage that throw bombs, so it's probably possible to bring bombs to destroy this container, but that doesn't excuse this dumb shit. Ugh. Anyway, you get this key like this, and you get this key like this. That was an annoying mission, but we're moving on with a...
It's all too easy for me.
I tried to get an A rank again, but I gave up after this guy bombed himself for the 50th time. I've done it before. Here's the hard truth right here. Okay, the next stage is Wild Canyon. I don't have much to say about the stage except its difficulty. It's the easiest treasure hunting stage in the game, with only a few separate areas that are small and easy to check. That's it. The final two treasure hunting stages, Pumpkin Hill and Security Hall, had the blueprints that could have made the treasure hunting gameplay style and a more engaging and less frustrating experience. Starting off with Pumpkin Hill, I believe that this stage should have been the basis for the maximum size of all treasure hunting stages. Pumpkin Hill is expansive. The traveling between areas isn't a tedious hassle, unlike other stages I know. Dumbass stages. The stage has three main areas: the mountain with the building with the pointed roof, the mountain with the train, and the mountain with lots of pumpkins. These mountains have many locations where the emerald pieces can be, but they are easily traversable due to the plentiful amount of rockets around the stage and a quick descent from diving out of a glide. A huge plus for this stage is that there are no separate areas in the stage at all. Why can't every stage be like this? Before moving on to Security Hall, I should definitely mention the hitboxes that do exactly as their name suggests and give hints to where an emerald piece is located. These monitors can be useful in the description of areas, especially when you are playing the level for the first time. However, the stage where they will be essential to make the stage bearable, they messed it up! Mad Space strikes back! In Mad Space, the hint boxes give you hints that are either in reverse or the opposite of where it is. Why do this? Why does Sonic Team hate its players? Oh, Pumpkin Hill. It's okay stage. The music's pretty good. A Ghost Pumpkin Soup is a classic. We're finally here. The final treasure hunting stage. And I kinda like it. Security Hall is a small and compact stage that has two areas that can be traveled between seamlessly. The major gimmick of the stage is that a chaos emerald can be locked in one of these vaults. To unlock them, you have to go in the upper area and activate the corresponding switch to the area of the vault. You then go back to the vault and dig in to get the chaos emerald. It's mildly annoying to backtrack to the vaults, but it's easy to go up in the upper area and come back because of the small size of the stage. Oh, and of course the music is a banger.
Rouge did not deserve her music, man. The treasure hunting stages were a mixed bag, to say modestly. They weren't complete garbage, but they are horrible levels to play through during a first playthrough or just casually. After fully completing each one, I just felt kinda empty. They just weren't that satisfying to complete overall. My favorite mission from each stage was the collect 100 rings mission. These missions transform these mostly inconsistent stages into consistent runs throughout the stages to collect 100 rings as fast as you can. Especially in headquarters and security hall. Collecting 100 rings in these stages was really fun. Discovering the best route to collect 100 rings under the time limit made it feel like I was playing at the stage at times. Well, treasure hunting, you won't be missed. The next stage is Tails' first stage, Prison Lane. In opposition to its dark side equivalent, this stage goes upwards towards its goal, which means there's lots of waiting on platforms to raise and standing on slow elevators. Fortunately, it's more interesting than the dull Mission Street. But just like Mission Street, the music is a banger! Tails is 2 for 2, baby. Keep it up. There are multiple gates that impede your progress throughout the stage, until you destroy the enemies that keep them locked. Other than that, it's a standard shooting stage that's cool to play through once in a while. We have reached the end of C tier, with only one stage remaining, Canyon's Core, the most unique stage in Sonic Adventure 2. In Canyon's Core, you play a section of the stage with every character except Shadow. Wait, every character means son of a... The stage begins with Tails shooting up more gun robots and artificial chaos, which are super annoying by the way. Should have mentioned earlier and how they made Final Chase even worse. Anyway, you quickly find a switch that activates one of my favorite mechanics in the game, time freezing. Can this be considered chaos control? Moving on. These switches allow you to freeze those annoying enemies you encounter throughout the game and destroy them with ease. Nice. By the end of Tails' section, you have to time when you shoot the time switches so you have platforms to climb on to reach the top platform. It's a really cool platforming challenge. Following up from Tails, Eggman's section introduces more challenging timer platforming challenges with increasing stakes of death. I especially like the ending here. Before moving on to Knuckles and Rouge, I want to highlight how each gameplay style gets its own music track. It's a nice touch that enhances the atmosphere of each character's section. I love the fast tempo of Scramble for the core. It really makes me feel that the stage is a scramble. Unlike the actual stages, Knuckles and Rouge aren't looking for 3 specific items. Thank goodness. Rouge's section only has her climb up these pillars, hit this switch to go through this waterfall, hit this switch, and go back. The only part that's kinda irritating is hitting the switch at the right time so you can get back up and go through the waterfall again. Knuckles, in comparison, is the real problem here. Knuckles starts off fine by hitting this switch so you can go through these lasers to hit another switch. There's so many switches in this stage. Ridiculous. The true difficulty of the stage is here. You have to make it to the end of this tunnel before time unfreezes, or you are going to be pushed out and be forced to try again. The timing on this section is pretty strict. If you hesitate for 1 second, you're not going to make it. Seeing Knuckles helplessly tumble back from a switch he was about to hit is timelessly frustrating. The music is cool though. This portion is mainly the reason why the stage is in C tier, but Sonic's section has some influence on that as well. First of all, Sonic has my favorite version of Canis Core, Deep Inside of. Disappointingly, this section is so short and insignificant that it ends off this great concept of a stage with a whimper instead of a bang. Sonic literally hits these 3 enemies, this enemy, and then just slides down this slide to make it to the end of the level. What a letdown. I hope that the hard mode version will make this part more interesting, but it really just added more enemies to the stage. At least there's enemies on the slide now. If this section was longer with actual interesting uses of the time switch, alongside this part doing something that isn't required in the rest of the game, then this could have been a great finale. For example, have a pit that requires the player to jump from a spin dash to pass over it. That would have been cool. I love the shooting sections, but every other section was either boring or irritating. Wow, that was a long tier. Before moving on to the next tier of stages, I want to talk about the bosses because I thought they were okay as well. The gun, walker, and aircraft boss battles were just easy. Hit the boss 4 times and that's it. Completely inoffensive. The first round, the rival battles where Sonic vs. Shadow and Tails vs. Dr. Eggman are similarly easy, especially for Tails vs. Eggman. You can literally just stand and spam the shoot button and win. Oh, I want to bring attention to the fact that the name for the song that plays during the first Sonic vs. Shadow encounter is called Shut Up Faker. I love that so much. Man, why don't the composers give songs unique names anymore? Well, at least Heal Up's dead Sonic Mania. Such beautiful names. Moving on, Knuckles exclusively has one of the most unique bosses in the entire game. King Boom Boom. Too bad he's annoying to fight. King Boom Boom is basically just running around this circle until Boom Boom starts throwing up flames. Weird. Then hitting the ghost holding the hourglass that reveals the sunlight that weakens the Ghost King. You then dig it out of the ground and hit it 4 times and you're done. It's not hard in the slightest, but it takes so long, so it's my least favorite boss in the game. Next up is Egg Golem, the only non-rival battle that has both sides fight it. However, both versions aren't interesting. Dr. Eggman's version is just spamming the shoot button until the power generators of the Egg Golem are exposed. Once that happens, you just lock onto them and win. Sonic's version is just waiting for the Egg Golem to attack, then punish it by going to the back and climbing up to hit the Eggmobile looking thing at the top. Too easy! I wish I had a piece of cake right now. The Knuckles vs. Rouge fight is as easy as the first Sonic vs. Shadow fight, and the second Tails vs. Eggman fight isn't that bad. I've seen people have trouble with this fight, but it was pretty easy for me. Just constantly lock on your opponent and shoot, and then hover away when they're about to use their laser attack. It'll be over quick. The final boss for the hero on Dark Side is the second climactic confrontation of Sonic and Shadow, and it is okay. My favorite part of the fight is the background song for True Story. It's a fantastic theme that enhances this battle for the fate of the Earth. For the battle itself, it's basically the first fight between the hedgehogs, but it's constantly on the move. Attack the opposing hedgehog by homing attacking the first 2 times, then just spin dash into them for the rest. It's an easy but still enjoyable fight, but we all know that there is a true last story, so there's true final bosses as well. The penultimate boss is a one-on-one bout between Shadow and the Biolizard, with multiple phases that require using the many abilities of Shadow. This makes this boss the best of the entire game. Oh, and supporting me is a banger. My biggest criticism of this encounter is when the Biolizard moves towards Shadow. Moving across the arena isn't really challenging, but it takes up so much time that just isn't interesting. Other than that, avoiding the Shadow energy balls, homing attacking up the pink balls, and avoiding the pink balls in the last phase is a fun challenge. The final boss is a super showdown of Super Sonic and Super Shadow against the final Hazard, a fusion of the Biolizard and the Arc. That looks very uncomfortable. Sonic or Shadow flies into these flowing boils. Why boils? Why? While avoiding increasingly annoying obstacles. Man, these lasers can be a bitch sometimes. Has anyone in the world actually ran out of time during this fight? It has a 5-minute time limit, but I always forget about it because simply, I'm just too good to lose. The fight isn't that great, but it's a cool and cinematic end to the adventure. Especially with that Live and Learn blasting in the background. So, I have a quick tangent before I get back to the stages. For clarification, I played Sonic Adventure 2 through a Steam port. If you didn't know, the Steam port of SA2 is bad. This is probably the least optimized game I've ever played. If you didn't know,
Optimization is a rewriting of a software to improve its efficiency in processing, which means better optimization means better running games generally. Sonic Adventure 2 PC is not that. Look at this. Look at that CPU usage. I am only on the main menu. That's insane. Want a comparison? Look at Sonic Generations. Look at Sonic Lost World. Look at Sonic Adventure 1. How do they allow this? The worst part is that the game would randomly freeze at points. I dealt with this problem occasionally through my original playthrough, but then I dealt with it almost constantly anytime I was recording my gameplay. One day, I had enough of these freezes, which sometimes left the crashes of my PC by the way, and searched for a solution online. To my surprise, I actually found one. I found a solution on the PC Gaming's wiki page on Sonic Adventure 2. I found this tip here. I followed the instructions and it fixed the freezing problem. I've never had the game freeze ever again. The game is still poorly optimized, but at least you can fix this awful freezing problem. It's amazingly sad that Sega left this port as it is, especially because the levels I'm about to get to are good, to some of them being absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's get back to those levels. 3 tiers down, 3 more to go. B tier. Good stages that are fun to play, but can be very annoying to A rank. Beginning with Cosmic Wall, the last of Eggman's 5 stages. Of all of the stages in the game, Cosmic Wall has the most unique gimmick of all of them. In this stage, we have low gravity. When you perform the hover, you gain height instead of slowly descending down. Because of this, the level design has a more vertical design layout compared to the horizontal design layouts of every other shooting stage. There's multiple towers that you climb up throughout the stage. That's fun the first time, but gets tiring to climb in future playthroughs since you move much slower vertically than horizontally. After ascending and descending through some towers, the first of 2 monorail shooting sections appear. These sections are my favorite part of Cosmic Wall. The compilations of various enemies and objects that you destroy while on the rails is very fun to play through. Plus, seeing the score climb up quickly is a great feeling. And then the level goes on for another 3 minutes until the next monorail section. Cosmic Wall is a good stage with 2 major flaws. Number 1, the length. Cosmic Wall is the longest shooting stage in the game, which on the surface level isn't a bad thing, but its length of about 8 minutes is a problem. I believe that the shooting stages in SA2 are like roller coasters. They are really fun the first time and are fun to revisit once in a while. However, when a roller coaster has lots of downtime from the parts that are truly exciting, revisiting the roller coaster will eventually make those exciting parts less interesting when you wait so long for them, especially when those exciting parts only make up 2/8 of the roller coaster. That's Cosmic Wall for me. I enjoyed the entirety of Cosmic Wall initially, but repeat playthroughs became somewhat monotonous after a while. The second flaw with Cosmic Wall is the A rank score requirement for hard mode. Cosmic Wall has one more unique property that no other stage in the game has. The A rank requirements for Mission 1, 4, and 5 were changed from the original Dreamcast version to the GameCube and digital versions. The changes are only significant in Mission 5, however. The A rank score for Mission 5 and Dreamcast was only 50,000, which is a score that can be acquired halfway through the stage, so I understand why they want to change the score to be harder to achieve. For GameCube and beyond, they changed the requirement to 100,000 points. That was an overcorrection. This makes the hard version of Cosmic Wall a long, drawn-out, 8-minute plus gauntlet of lock-on combos to build up score bonuses that can't be messed up unless you want to just miss the A rank by 1,000 points or more. This is the only stage on my entire completionist journey that I actually stopped playing halfway through to take a break. I didn't even do that with Match Space, and I hate that fucking stage. But playing through an 8-minute stage that just missed the mark was just too much. Here's what I got on my hard mode A rank run. I don't care if I did it wrong, but I got it anyway. Despite these flaws, Cosmic Wall is a solid stage that's a cool final hurrah for Dr. Eggman. But it perfectly fits the description of this tier. A good stage that is very annoying, the A rank. Okay, the next stage is, wait. Oh. Yo! Guys!
It's Green Hill Zone! Everyone's favorite zone ever! It's in every game now, so it has to be the best one, right? Okay, enough jokes. Green Hill is the reward for collecting every emblem in SA2. I didn't do that, well, at least not yet. But thanks to 100% save files provided by generous people on the internet, I can play it now. And it's pretty cool. The level is a 3D recreation of the first act of Green Hill Zone from the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Playing levels back to back to see how they adapted the stage in 3D is very interesting to say the least. Wait a second. Where are the Motobugs? Every enemy that appears in the stage is here, except the first enemy you ever encounter in this series. What? Well, actually, there aren't any crab meats or neutrons in this recreation as well. Those are some odd exclusions. Nevertheless, Green Hill is the shortest active stage in the game by a large margin, but that doesn't make getting to A rank any easier. Unlike every other stage, there are no extra missions for Green Hill. Actually, the stage doesn't even save your rank and the other stats when you clear it. I don't know if this is a intended method, but I have a cool trick that makes completing the stage easier. If you continue to use the bounce attack after hitting an enemy without touching the ground, then the game will still consider that you are in there, which means you can extend the combo, a bonus point you can receive. Look at those points. Jamming. I wish that Green Hill's music was remixed in one of SA2's music genres instead of the MIDI we got. It's not bad, but I wouldn't say it's good either. Anyway, the next stage is Final Rush, the final stage of the hero side in the last regular level for Sonic. Final Rush is similar to Skyrail, to where the majority of the stage is spent grinding on rails. However, this stage is actually good. Now, I like grinding in SA2, but grinding in SA2 is pretty simple when you break it down. You jump onto a rail and then hold the B button while trying to keep your balance with the left analog stick. I love when grinding is used for a quick transition to other areas, or when it acts as another pathway in a level. But making this simple mechanic be the main thing you do in a 4-minute stage makes this final stage unsurprisingly simple. The difficulty of Final Rush naturally rises with more dangerous sections of the stage, as you switch from rail to rail, but a good amount of the stage is just grinding down rails with no major obstacles. The part that stood out the most during the stage is the section where you can use these mini vertical grind rails to gain elevation. This section is generally fun to go through and is unique to the stage. However, it ain't perfect. The grinding in this game is generally stable, but these rails are usually the exceptions. They work a majority of the time, but once in a while they love to trip you up. These malfunctions were especially apparent in Final Rush's Lost Child mission. I'm thankful that the Lost Child missions are only based on time, because if it was based on score, well, Green Hill would have moved up a spot. Despite these criticisms, Final Rush is an enjoyable stage to play through, but getting all A ranks can both be troublesome or simple to achieve. As a final note, I want to again bring attention to Sonic's general control. He controls great for the most part, like I said in the overviews of each of the game's gameplay styles, but he becomes somewhat of a hassle to control when Sonic has both his Lightspeed Dash and Bounce Attack. These two abilities are mapped to the same button, which means if you don't Lightspeed Dash through a line of rings that's in the air, then you're doing the Bounce Attack to your doom. The Lightspeed Dash should have been mapped to Y, but Sonic Team thought the switching up actions you can perform was a better idea. You want to know where the action select should have been mapped to? That's right, the D-pad! By the way, the D-pad is only utilized in menu navigation, which can be done by the analog stick too. What a great game we have here. Moving on to another action stage, White Jungle is next, and it's actually pretty good. White Jungle is Shadow's equivalent to Sonic's Green Forest. I prefer Green Forest's level design and general aesthetic, but White Jungle still has some cool moments and an interesting visual identity. Don't you just love the white fog everywhere? White Jungle has an emphasis on obstacles where you need to somersault to pass under them. They slow down the pace of the stage slightly, but they are spread out well throughout the stage. One of my favorite parts of the stage is here, with the somersault obstacle, the weight trap, and the gun robot. You can of course properly time your somersault to pass the obstacle, or you can jump on or even around the weight trap to homing attack the gun robot and move on. You can actually skip most of these obstacles with well aligned homing attacks and good spin dash jumps. You You can even use this weight trap to skip these obstacles here. Another favorite part of the stage is the stage song, rhythm and balance. I mentioned earlier that Shadow's music was hit and miss for me. This one though is a definitive hit. The main reason this stage is only good in my eyes and not great is that it lacks a unique set piece. Unlike Green Forest, which has a great final set piece that I will talk about soon, White Jungle has these pulleys throughout that have the same function as the vines in both White Jungle and Green Forest, but on a smaller scale. White Jungle isn't a very memorable stage, but it's definitely better than the Shadow stages that came before and deserves some recognition. Our long combo of action stages come to an end with Radical Highway, Shadow's first and best stage in my opinion. Wow, just realized that Shadow stages just got worse after every stage. Well, at least in my view. Radical Highway is a perfect name for a stage filled with a multitude of gun robots, several planes carpet bombing the highways, and grinding on the top of the rails of bridges. Radical Highway is a great stage during the first playthrough, and still a fun stage on repeat playthroughs. This stage is probably the best place to discuss how the design philosophy of the action stages changed from its predecessor. Sonic Adventure's Sonic levels on their whole were more explorative in their level design, while Sonic Adventure 2's action stages are more straightforward in their design. Although I think Sonic stages in Sonic Adventure overall displayed a better balance of speed, platform, and exploration, which were the three core components of the classic Sonic games that made them special in my eyes, than SA2's action stages. The action stages still keep me engaged to this day with their more speed-focused, streamlined design. To focus back on Radical Highway, my favorite portion is when you grind down the rails of the bridge you just climbed up. Satisfaction right there. I'm glad Shadow had a couple stages that I thought were pretty good. The Ultimate Life Form definitely deserved more than one good boss. See you later, you brooding hedgehog. From action stages to shooting stages, we're now on a shooting stage marathon. Starting it off with Sand Ocean, Eggman's second level. Sand Ocean is the exemplary example of a stage that significantly changes once Eggman acquires the Abra upgrade. During the story playthrough of the stage, Sand Ocean's a solid shoot 'em up stage with stop and wait platforming that isn't really engaging. But with that amazing hover upgrade, these sections evolve into Russian hovering platform that's way more fun to speed through. The ending section where you usually go back and forth, destroying more of the pillar bases that's been seen in the other sections of the stage, can actually mostly be skipped by hovering to the last pillar base. Solid stage we have here. The final stage of Meteor is Lost Colony, Eggman's third level. How does this proper stage order thing keep happening? Lost Colony is a very good stage that only has one section in it that keeps it from the great A tier. The first mission and the other mission are solid enough, but the hard mode mission is the big highlight. The hard mode of most stages slightly changes the stage layouts and adds more of the hard enemies to the stage. Lost Colony does this as well, with great results. This room right here is one of my favorites in the entire game. It transformed this simplistic room into a unique platforming challenge that's never directly replicated in any other level. The rest of the level has more challenging enemies and more. I wish the long elevator section was changed to be, more interesting. Oh well. B tier has been completed. We're reaching the end with only 2 tiers left. The next group of stages await in A tier. Great stages that have some annoying sections / missions. Hidden Base starts this tier off right with a shooting stage that with proper timing of lock-on combos can almost be beaten without stopping. Hidden Base is Tails' equivalent to Eggman's Sand Ocean and has similar level clerks to that stage. Some include destroying bombs and pillars that are needed to progress, and platforming over instant kill quicksand. Unique to Hidden Base are these destructive hieroglyphic Eggman doors. They can be annoying obstacles, however, you can make early shots in almost every door before you reach them. You can even skip some doors with clever hovers. Wait a second. Yep,
Am I hearing another banger song in the background? Tails is 3 for 4 so far. If he gets 4 out of 4 bangers, then he gets a gold star from me. Well, another plus of Hidden Base is that it's one of the few stages that you can basically rush through and still get an A rank. You can't even do that in the after stage, surprisingly. The last thing I want to mention before moving on is this stage's 100 ring mission. Initially, I thought this mission was unique from every other 100 ring mission, because I thought you had to go through the entirety of the stage and go back to the beginning to collect these rings again. To my surprise, there are way more rings I didn't know about in the stage. There's a cluster of rings in this spot and this spot, alongside 30 rings hidden off camera here. It's possible to do my method and still achieve an A rank, but this is way easier. Either way, this is one of my favorite 100 ring missions in the game because of its quick and engaging challenge. The next stage is Tails' final and best stage, Internal Engine. Internal Engine might not be my highest rated shooting stage, but I believe it is overall the best stage of its gameplay style. It has a great satisfying length, an interesting gimmick that encourages risky plays for more rewarding lock-on combos, a banger song playing in the background, and a fun conclusion. Let's start with that length. Internal Engine averages at about 4.5 minutes to 5.5 minutes. A length that contains a solid beginning, middle, and end without making the level feel stale with its mechanics. Speaking of mechanics, Internal Engine introduces 2 gimmicks to spice up Tails' final hurrah. The major one of the 2 is the recontextualization of these bombs from the previous stages. These bombs are now placed on these doors, which if they are destroyed, would open up an opening to space. If you get too close to these openings, you'll be sucked down to space and lose a life. Well, the problem with this, however, is that you go outside the arc to space multiple times throughout the stage, so I don't know why this kills you, but it serves as a great obstacle in Internal Engine. There are multiple chances to create perfect lock-on combos in this stage, but they require the risk of dying to the vacuum of space from corridors that you opened up. This risk is continuously expanded from the first checkpoint to the last in more challenging and enjoyable ways. Okay, what was next? Oh yeah, that bangin' music track! Four for 4. Here's that gold star I promised. I'm proud of you, Tails.
I wish I could say that about your more modern iterations. You used to be a real one, Tails. Wait, Eternal Engine's conclusion is great, just like the rest of the stage. I would joke about how there's wind and space for this part here, but I'm currently playing as a young fox kid with two tails, who's controlling the battle form of an airplane he built and pilots. So yeah, whatever. This section requires you to use the hover to get accurate shots on your opponents, and I think it's pretty neat. My favorite part of the stage is the free fall down this tower. It's the exact opposite of those slow elevator sections in other stages where you go at the pace the game wants you to go. In this section, you can do whatever you want. Drop down immediately, slowly hover down. It's all up to you and it's great. I wish there were more of these kinds of sections in the shooting stages. I'm glad a similar section was in Canon's core, but the level is held back by the rest of the sum of its parts. The last section is just Hode beating Reese to win. It's okay. Eternal Engine is a great stage, and it is the quintessential shooting stage of Sonic Adventure 2. Well, in the traditional way. I'll talk about why I love my favorite shooting stage soon enough. See you later, Tails. Thanks for all the banger tracks and solid enough lineup of stages. Well, look at that. Another arc stage. This time is Crazy Gadget, starring Sonic the Hedgehog. Crazy Gadget's main distinction to every other action stage is the gravity switching throughout the stage. The quick tutorial of the mechanic is pretty quick and seamless. I just wish the robot here didn't use wall hacks to trap me here. The usage of different gravity modes are well used and spaced out throughout the stage for some unique gameplay. This level isn't all fun and games since there's lots of artificial chaos in this level. The aim of these enemies is terrifyingly accurate, and they always break the brisk pace of any level they are in. This level introduced the artificial chaos type that I not only don't hate, I like them. I know, right? These enemies' bodies quickly split into mini blobs that are temporary obstacles that redirect Sonic's homing attack from the head. These enemies are supposed to be annoying, but I find them more as a quick mashing minigame. Mario Party be damned. Crazy Gadget has one more notable section that fits the starting adjective perfectly. Till the end, oh wait. This section. In hard mode, this Lightspeed dash is required to progress. Do I need to explain again why performing the Lightspeed dash in the air is a problem? You know what? Let's have some fun here! Alright everyone, place your bets. Choose from 4 choices and guess what happens next. A. The Lightspeed dash doesn't activate and I go down to my doom with the bounce attack. B. The Lightspeed dash actually works. C. The game crashes because this port sucks ass. Or D. I've stopped playing the game because I forgot my college homework that was due an hour. Vote now! Okay, let's see the results. Yo, let's go B voters. And for everyone that voted D, why do you gotta be so negative? The final section of the stage is the crazy exploration of blocks that looks like Tetris pieces in different gravity configurations. You can play through one of Sonic's most unique set pieces in the entire series that goes on for a little too long in my opinion. Or you can do this instead and skip the majority of Sonic's Tetris. To mention hard mode for the last time, the hard mode version of Crazy Gadget requires you to actually play this section correctly due to the switch needed to open up the way to the clearer ring being hidden over here. This stage definitely doesn't have my favorite hard mode mission. Despite that, Crazy Gadget is still a really fun stage with unique mechanics that are overall fun and interesting. A great stage to replay and complete. We have reached the end of A tier with Green Forest. Green Forest is Sonic's equivalent to Shadow's White Jungle and is better in almost every way. A more vibrant color palette, an equally great music track, and a final set piece that's fun and memorable. The color palette is pretty noticeable from a quick look. The strong green color around the stage is just more appealing in my eyes. I've said a lot of good things about this soundtrack, and I still plan to say more after the stage, but Won't Stop, Just Go is another highlight. The music fits the stage's frantic atmosphere perfectly. Before I praise that final set piece, I want to spend the rest of my Green Forest critique in its hard mode variant. Hard mode doesn't really change the overall layout of Green Forest, however, it makes slight adjustments that makes Green Forest more engaging. Simple sections are upgraded with more hazards that require more finesse to quickly bypass. The worst portion of the stage in both versions is climbing up this tree. The section sums up to jumping on 9 springs and moving on. Kinda a drag to get through. Thankfully, Green Forest ends off well. The obstacle before the goal is a collapsing landmass that you have to traverse quickly or you're going for a slim. The original version of the obstacle is a fun idea that isn't that challenging to pass. The hard mode, however, requires you to use the bounce bracelet in a timed environment, a combination that's never been done anywhere else in the entire game. The best part is that it's a strict time limit. Hesitate for a second or two at any part and it's all over for you. This change alongside the small other changes make Green Forest a great stage to run through or fully complete at any time. Oh, and of course, I ended this tier off with the corresponding letter grade.
That was cool!
Wow, one tier remains. The final and best 4 levels of Sonic Adventure 2. Let's get to it. S tier, the GOATs. I would A rank them on command. My 4th favorite stage in SA2 was Eggman's Iron Gate. To be completely honest, the main reason Iron Gate outranks the great internal engine are these sections right here. These elevators are just like they are in every other shooting stage. They are slow, mini auto-scrollers without the scrolling screen. However, we have a certain upgrade that I love very much. We can skip both of these slow ass elevator sections and keep moving on with a brisk pace. For the rest of the stage, it has a similarly great pace as Hidden Base. Just like Tails' Prison Lane, there are doors that impede your progress. The big difference is that the locks are actually on the doors, instead of surrounding gun robots being the locks. Prison Lane's method is more interesting conceptually, but Iron Gate is just more fun to play through because of this. At its core, Iron Gate is a short, but a very replayable stage where its 5 missions can be swiftly played through in about 10 minutes for great fun. Man, I remember when I hated all of the shooting stages when I first played SA2. And now, I like one of these stages more than almost every other action stage in the game. I love Iron Gate, and I really do like the shooting stages of SA2. They may not be the fastest stages, and a good amount of them have unskippable elevator sections that break up the pace of every stage they are in. However, they transform the traditional Sonic gameplay into a more methodical, but still speedy platformer with proper usage of the movement upgrades. With a focus of quick observation of the surroundings to acquire the lock-on combos needed to perfect each stage. These stages aren't everyone's cup of tea. I've seen the disdain for these stages from many sources on the internet. But man, I truly believe that this gameplay style was the first deviation from the original high speed and momentum based platformer style of Sonic that could have stood on its own with further development. Take out those boring elevators, make the mechs have better control, feel, and speed like E102 Gamma from Sonic Adventure, and introduce more upgrades like a grapple hook or something that can increase the complexity of these shooting stages to new heights. I'm probably the only person in the world that cares this much about these stages, but they were really fun. Thanks for the engaging roller coaster, Sonic team. They could have become great amusement parks when combined with the action stages with a couple of changes. There's only 3 stages left, and unsurprisingly, they're all action stages with the world's most famous hedgehog. My 3rd favorite stage of SA2 is Sonic's City Escape. I won't spend too long here since I already talked about the stage over an hour ago. How does this video get so long? Anyway, City Escape is still a fantastic first stage in its introduction of common obstacles, alongside the general difficulty of getting A ranks in missions. Despite being the first level of SA2, it isn't a cakewalk to complete City Escape. This makes the stage a perfect tutorial because City Escape can't be done with A ranks by just rushing through it. This stage teaches you that you need a mix of speed, attacking enemies, and doing other maneuvers that reward score bonuses to get that elusive pink letter grade. Before moving on to the final 2 stages, I want to highlight one of the best hard mode levels in the entirety of SA2. The hard mode version of City Escape actually makes the stage feel somewhat different from its original layout. From the get-go, the intro boarding section has both new ramps and move ramps that makes the intro more interesting. Fuck that ramp though. Don't like it. The usual gun robots with shields and iron crates are in place. Then the stage throws another curveball after the first checkpoint. There's now a new ramp that comes out of nowhere that if you jump off of, you get the electric shield that was moved from its original position. These small but continuous changes make City Escape hard mode have a different pace from the original, and I love it for it. City Escape is a fantastic first stage for SA2. The stage is iconic for a good reason. Anyway, now moving on to the second best stage. What? A B? Huh? This can't be right. I can't end City Escape like that. I need to run that back at an accelerated pace.
Yes! That was cool!
Now that's what I'm talking about. The second best stage is Sonic Adventure 2. It's Pyramid Cave. Man, Pyramid Cave is great, dude. Love the stage. This first section here displays something that I haven't had a chance to mention yet. The classic Sonic titles are known for a fantastic momentum-based physics system that allowed Sonic and others to gain speed smoothly and satisfyingly. A common way to gain speed in those games was to roll into a ball on downward slopes. Both Sonic Adventure titles also have this same technique, but it is very apparent in this stage in particular, and it's just as fun as it was in the classics. This first section also has these rings. They may look like eye candy at first, but going through them gives point bonuses, so I go through them. Just like at Quarters and Depth Chamber, there are these timed doors that are opened temporarily by these hourglasses. Thankfully, they used this interesting but frustrating gimmick from the treasure hunting stages for its fun time challenges in this stage. One of the highlights of the stage is right here. I know this place doesn't immediately look that interesting, but there was a certain upgrade that Sonic acquired here that changes Sonic's moveset drastically. The Bounce Bracelet. I've complained about how the Lightspeed Dash and Bounce Attack being mapped to the same button was an awful design decision multiple times. However, the Bounce Attack was probably the best new moveset addition in the Sonic series since the Spin Dash. In Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic Team introduced the Spin Dash, a technique that allows Sonic or Tails from a standstill to build up speed and then rush forward. It was a fantastic addition to the simple control of the classic Sonic games and made the games more approachable to play. I believe that if the bounce attack continued to be implemented in future games, then it could have had a similar effect, but in the favor of complexity. Now to be clear, the bounce attack has appeared in future games, namely Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 or Sonic 06 and Sonic Lost World, but they pretty much neutered the potential of the move. In SA2, the bounce attack does not only allow you to continue to move forward while using a maneuver, it allows you to cancel out the attack with the homing attack, which allows Sonic to keep his aerial momentum and not bounce. These simple properties of the bounce attack allow Sonic to have fantastic movement both on the ground and in the air with enough practice. Optimizing the movement of small sections of Sonic stages like this part in Metal Harbor
with a bounce attack and canceling it with a homing attack is so satisfying. The mechanics of the bounce attack can also be used in unintended ways to make even more unintentional shortcuts, ignoring this fantastic exploit. SA2's original vision of the bounce attack displayed the fantastic potential that this move could have done for the Sonic franchise going forward. I recognize that the stomp from the modern Sonic titles have replaced the bounce attack and are fun in their own right, but I will always wish that the bounce attack will return to its former glory. Pyramid Cave is cool. My only real complaint with Pyramid Cave is the second switch puzzle area. In the normal version of the stage, this section is a quick distraction from the remaining stage. It's not that bad of a pace breaker, it only takes like 35 seconds to do. Now in the hard mode version of the stage, Sonic Team mixed up the definition of hard with tedious.
That's it!
They require you to throw the switch around, which makes this version of the stage kind of a drag at this point. Other than that section, Pyramid Cave continuously has fun, timed movement challenges that requires optimal usage of the spin dash and rolling to clear them. The last component of the stage I want to acknowledge is the Lost Child mission. The Lost Child missions in SA2 were a mixed bag of cool extra parts of a stage that have unique challenges, to just finding the mystery ruins and being teleported to where the child is. Thankfully, Pyramid Cave's Lost Child mission is the former, and in my eyes, it's the best Lost Child mission of the game. After using the Mystic Melody to spawn this spring here, you spring up to find this little section here. To get the Lost Child, you must swing correctly on 3 handlebars under a time limit. The challenge here isn't really that difficult or long, but I love this combination of stage mechanics. The handlebars are a common obstacle in the Gadget stages, and it was no surprise to see them in Pyramid Cave. The timed hourglass doors aren't exclusive to this stage. They were in Death Chamber and Headquarters, but their usage in this stage made them feel unique. Combining these two mechanically simple mechanics into the small challenge room that most players wouldn't see was the fascinating stuff that made completing SA2 so compelling to me. Now, I've praised the stage and the general game mechanics of the Gadget stages for a while now, but I've yet to mention the best part of Pyramid Cave, and you've been listening to it this entire time. Keys to Ruin, in my view, is the best song of Sonic Adventure 2. SA2 has a great soundtrack of many genres, but Keys to Ruin just takes the cake. Keep on rocking, Pyramid Cave. I'll complete your missions any day of the week. Well then, only one level remains. My favorite level in Sonic Adventure 2 is... Battle Harbor nearly perfected the new game design philosophy that SA2 established. I have a lot of praise for Metal Harbor, but I labeled it as near perfect for a reason. I have one criticism of Metal Harbor that isn't significant, but definitely should be recognized. That one problem is the level is a little too short. Not counting the bonus stage Green Hill, Metal Harbor is the shortest active stage by a large margin. It's about half the length of City Escape and even less compared to later Sonic stages. This problem is a small one overall, since the short length lends strength to the quick replayability of Metal Harbor compared to other stages. However, I think having an additional battleship to run on and another tower to climb wouldn't hurt the stage at all and would make it feel more packed. Alright, criticism's over. Let's talk about the overwhelming amount of positives. First off, the music is unsurprisingly fantastic. That's the Way I Like It is one of the best song titles I've ever heard. Okay, since this is the final stage of the game I'm reviewing, I'm going to review every mission of Metal Harbor. Starting off with the first mission, which is the hardest one of the 5. Metal Harbor is filled to the brim with loops, lightspeed dashes, somersault gates, homing attack chains, and everything else that makes the active stages exciting to play. The stage has a fantastic pace with no pace breakers unless you don't have the lightspeed dash to use yet, which you do get in this stage. The combination of all these aspects and a non-stop pace already makes Metal Harbor memorable. But the climax of the stage is one of the best set pieces in the franchise. The gun rocket launch succeeds at what no other set piece in Sonic Adventure 2 does, and even other set pieces in other Sonic games. For a comparison, let's look at City Escape's gun truck chase. This iconic set piece has Sonic being chased by this maniac gun truck down the roads of a surprisingly uninhabited city. Playing through the section for the first time was exciting and engaging, and made for a perfect finale to City Escape. Now with each repeat playthrough, the overall simple act of running towards the camera with something chasing you gets steadily more uninteresting. This criticism can be applied to almost anything in both Sonic games and other games in general, but I feel that most 3 Sonic set pieces have this problem. Loop-de-loops in particular are just mini cutscenes that sometimes doesn't even need player input to function. The gun truck chase also loses its appeal when Sonic is chased by something in almost every 3D Sonic game, including the previous adventure title, which did it multiple times as well. In contrast, the gun rocket launch is not only unique, it has seldomly been replicated in other games, but also is continuously fun to replay over and over again. This quick 15-second section requires the player to scramble to one of the 2 handles on the rocket before it launches. There are a few dash panels further on the launch site, but other than that, this is a set piece that's 100% driven by player skill and ability. The first handle was very possible to reach under the time limit, but there's more than one handle. The other handle is closer to the top of the rocket and requires near constant movement to make it, but you do get an extreme score bonus if you do, so hitting this spring right here makes this section more manageable, but going through the entire section perfectly is endlessly satisfying. After grabbing one of the handles, the rocket immediately launches for some reason. Like, why? The rocket launches while Sonic hangs on until he jumps off to go into this random ventilation shaft thing. Never really thought about this part until now, but who cares? This section is great. This final boring section has a background song that is the definition of a banger, and the title is perfect. Can't stop, so what? And that's the first mission of Metal Harbor. A short but fantastic stage that does everything it attempts to do well with no true drawbacks. But I still have 4 more missions to talk about, but they won't take long. The second mission is the 100 Rings mission, and initially, I didn't think this mission was anything special. This mission pretty much has you play through the stage until just before the gun rocket section. It's still fun to do, but I hope for more. But then, my wish was granted. Because of my love of the stage, I looked up speedruns for the stage to see how fast it can be beaten. And whoo boy, like holy crap dude. This stage can be beaten under a minute and 10 seconds. It's crazy. Also, I thought Tails was the guy who flew. not Sonic? Like, what's happening here? I love it, but I'm confused and afraid. But anyway, I watched a speedrun of Metal Harbor Mission 2 and found out that there was a lone ring on top of this stretcher. Now, this ring is completely optional to complete the mission with an A rank, but I find it so interesting that Sonic Team will hide just one ring off screen to a place that requires either the bounce bracelet or a well-timed spin dash jump to reach. I love this stage, dude. Metal Harbor Mission 3 is one of my favorite Lost Child missions for the wrong reasons. The mission is set up just like the others. You find the mystery ruins, use the missing melody, and use the object spawned from the ruins to reach the child. Although, that platform is pretty close. Could I love this mission. I don't really have anything to say about Metal Harbor Mission 4, since it's just Mission 1 with a time limit and no checkpoints. It's still fun, and it's actually easier than the first mission. The score is actually more reasonable. Metal Harbor Mission 5 is the hard mode, and it makes changes for the better and the worse, so I like it equally with the normal version. The main changes are the addition of these gun robots in multiple places, the removal of some lightspeed dash ring paths, and the removal of this rocket, and instead having another homing attack chain of enemies. The gun rocket section received no changes for the exception of this robot here. To be fair, this section is not easy in the slightest, so I get why. Oh, by the way, did you know? You can leap off the rocket early while it's launching. Just press the jump button at about this time and boom, you just saved a couple of seconds. Metal Harbor is the exemplary stage of Sonic Adventure 2, and not only enjoyment, but also in design. Like I mentioned in my review of Radical Highway, Sonic Adventure 2 compared to its predecessors went for the more streamlined, speed and platforming focused direction. Previously, the mainline Sonic games maintained a solid balance of speed, platforming, and exploration. While exploration is the main focus of the treasure hunting stages, the added stages and shooting stages mostly underplay exploration and focus on high speed and or platforming. I personally love both of the design directions of the classic Sonic games and Sonic Adventure 2 and other Sonic games onward. However, I now truly understand why this game in particular caused a good amount of Sonic fans to lose interest. Disregarding the very different approaches in story and tone, the overall game design of Sonic changed in Adventure 2. Sonic went from expansive levels with multi-tiered level design that weaved into each other throughout the stages, to the generally straightforward levels that may have different pathways once in a while. I mean, look at Metal Harbor. I love the stage, but its design is very simple when you really look at it. I still love the overall direction that Adventure 2 established regardless, but reviewing this game finally made me realize why such a split in the Sonic fan base occurred when he transitioned to the 3D landscape. It also doesn't help that this game and other early 3D Sonic games haven't aged greatly. As you can tell from the content of this very long video, Sonic Adventure 2 isn't a flawless game by any means. Sonic Adventure 2 has a solid amount of level design and control issues alongside the general age of the game that hampers the overall experience. However, Sonic Adventure 2 is a game that, with enough patience and determination, comes together into a fun and varied package that I believe is one of Sonic's most fulfilling adventures to fully experience. I know Sonic Adventure 2 isn't for everyone, and I definitely know that Sonic Adventure 2 isn't for every Sonic fan. I mean, man, some of y'all are wild. I mean, goodness gracious, your opinions. But after completing almost everything this game has to offer, and I promise that I will do a video on the child stuff in the future. I've been working on this too long. I'm moving on. This game has forever gained my respect. Keep on living and learning. Sonic Adventure 2.
Hello, it's me, that STL guy you can listen to in this very long video. Ah, man, it's done though. I wasn't joking about the June 2020 thing at the beginning. I've been working on that video from now till January 22nd, 2021. Why not say the date? Took a long time, didn't it? You know, a review of this game is not original in the slightest, but I'm replaying Sonic Adventure 2 after having played it for like years fully. My opinions on when playing it just shifted so wildly, and I just ended up writing my thoughts down, and it pretty much ended up to this huge script. You know, it's nothing crazy. It's not the greatest. I mean, hear my voice right now. I mean, worst problem. But it's my own. It's all mine. I did it. That's pretty cool. Not off topic, but as someone who's grown up in this era of YouTube and Twitch or whatever, people, you know, reviews and stuff, it felt so satisfying to make a video of my own. You know, everyone has opinions and stuff, of course, but it felt so satisfying to get mine, you know, to clearly define mine. Especially for such controversial games as this one. I mean, Sonic Adventure 2. You know, I have a lot of problems with it, but I think it's a good game. Not great, but it isn't bad or worse. There's actually bad games out there, not this one though. But yeah. If you're ever indecisive on a game, play it. You don't know? Play it. You don't have to, but why not? Games are meant to be played, you know? Well, this long video isn't the only one I'm going to make. I'm planning on making way more videos than this one. Hopefully not as long, but it's kind of fun to make this so long anyway, so. Next video will be on Sonic Heroes, because I recorded the review footage stuff for that almost half a year ago, so yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching if you watched all this for some reason. Well, I'll see you guys next time, eventually.